Hello and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to do what I'm calling an author highlight. And the idea behind that is that every once in a while on my channel, I want to film a video where I am talking about an author that I like, and then I go through and I rank all the books I've read by them. So for this first iteration of author highlight, I wanted to talk about Freida McFadden. So let's get into it. If you've been around my channel or other book talk, booktube, bookstagram accounts, you've most likely heard of Freida McFadden. She is an American author and she mostly writes mystery and thrillers, but she is also a practicing physician who specializes in brain injuries. I found Freida McFadden back in 2022 when I started to really get back into reading, and something I really appreciate is almost all of her books are on Kindle Unlimited. As of the date that I am filming this video, she has released 29 books and I have read 12 of them. Alrighty, so I have my laptop here and we're gonna now tier rank all 12 books that I have read by Freida McFadden, and I'm gonna give a super short spiel. For my tiers here, I have Lives Rent Free in my head. That is just a book that I read that has just really stuck with me, that it might have been weeks, days, years since I've read that book, and I still will randomly think of it from time to time. After that, I have Good but Not God tier. Those are books that I enjoyed, but they didn't quite make it to that top tier for one reason or another. Next, I have Not Bad but Not My Favorite. These ones I'm kind of indifferent about. They're just kind of middle of the road for me. And then we have Probably Should Have DNF'd. These are books that I didn't like, but I kept reading, or I ended up just really not liking once I finished it, and I wished that I didn't read it. Alrighty, so we're starting with The Housemaid. If you've heard of Freida McFadden, I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard of this one. It blew up online, and for good reason. I've also heard that this one's being made into a movie, so that's exciting. And this one we have Millie. She's down on her luck and needing to restart. She found a job as a housemaid for this well-off family, but the longer she's there, the more she realizes things are not the way they seem. This is a Lives Rent Free in my head. Such a good book. Next is we have The Inmate. For this one, we have Brooke. Brooke is a nurse practitioner, and after moving back home, the only job she's been able to find is at the local men's maximum security prison. The only problem is one of the inmates is there serving a life sentence due to her testimony. This one went in the good but not quite God tier. The epilogue for this one, though, that one was really good. Alrighty, next is The Locked Door. This is actually the first book that I ever read by Freida McFadden. In this one, we have Nora. She is the daughter of a notorious serial killer. She had no idea that when she was a child, her dad had been murdering people in their basement. She's worked really hard to remove herself from her past, and she's now a successful surgeon. Except now, her past is threatening to ruin everything she's worked so hard to build. This one was in the not bad, but not my fave. I just had a hard time connecting with Nora, I think, and I just found her to be a bit interesting. Next, we have Never Lie. This one was so good. So we have newlyweds Trisha and Ethan. They're on their way to see this gorgeous house in the middle of the woods, but on the way there, a blizzard hits and they are stranded in this house. They realize that this house used to belong to a psychiatrist who went missing, and Trisha finds a secret room where there are tape recordings of all of the missing psychiatrist's sessions with her patients. This one lives rent free in my mind. So good. Super good twist. Just totally didn't see it coming. Alrighty, so next we have Do Not Disturb, and this one we're following Quinn, and she is on the run from the law. The only problem is she gets stuck in a winter storm trying to head north, and she is forced to seek shelter in this rundown motel in the middle of nowhere. Things are weird, and then she finds out there's a creepy backstory to this motel. Now she's less focused on hiding from the law and more focused on surviving the night. This one, once again, was not bad, but not my fave. Next, we have The Housemaid's Secret. This is the second book in the Housemaid series, and I really want to read the other two that have been released since, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So for this one, Millie has found a new job with a different couple. She spends her days cleaning their penthouse. The only weird thing is that she is told to never disturb Mrs. Garrett. And when she finds out why she was told that, she has to do something about it. This one, it was good, but not God tier. It didn't leave quite live up to the first one, in my opinion. There's a third book and then a novella that you're supposed to read between the second and third one that I really want to read. I haven't done it yet, so that's on my to-do list. So our next one is The Teacher. So I liked this one, but it made me feel a little gross. So we have Addie, who is a high school student, and she is having a really rough year. Last year, she was involved in a major scandal, and this year has just been a living hell. She has no friends, she's being bullied, she swears her math teacher is out to get her, and when her math teacher finds out her biggest secret, she will do anything to keep it a secret. So many crazy twists in this one. This one lives rent-free, even though it did give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. Next, we have The Gift. This one is actually a novella. So we have Stella, who is desperate to get a Christmas present for her husband. It is their first Christmas of them being married, and she wants to get him something meaningful, but they are really struggling financially. Until she wanders into this odd pawn shop with a little old lady running it who's willing to make a trade. This one was interesting. It was good, but not quite God tier. Up next, we have The Coworker. This one was interesting. We have Dawn, who is a bit of an outcast, and we have Natalie, who is one of Dawn's coworkers, and everyone loves Natalie. One day, Dawn doesn't show up for work, which is incredibly odd because every single day she arrives in her cubicle at exactly 8:45. Things keep happening, and it's not putting Natalie in a good spot. This one, not bad, but not my favorite. Next up, we had One by One. In this story, we're following Claire, who is struggling in her marriage. Her and Noah have just lost their spark, and despite their shortcomings, she's been looking forward to this week-long vacation that they've planned with their two couple friends. Except before they can even get to the inn, their car breaks down, and with no cell service and no other cars in sight, the six of them decide to start walking. The inn couldn't be that much further. But when things start going wrong and members of the group start disappearing, Claire doesn't know who she can trust. This one, it was good, but not quite God tier. Alrighty, so this next one, The Wife Upstairs, I think this is probably the only book that I've read by Freida McFadden that I didn't like. We have Sylvia, who had been hired as a caregiver for Victoria. Victoria, she was in a car accident and now needs full-time care. And Sylvia can't help but notice what a devoting and kind husband she has. Sylvia, she also finds Victoria's previous diary, and things just go down here from there. I struggled to get into this one because it just had too many similarities of Verity by Colleen Hoover. It kind of felt like Verity and the housemaid had a baby, and it would be this book. I did look because I was curious. Verity did come out a couple years before this book, but then this book did come out a couple years before The Housemaid. So this one, I probably should have DNF'd. It's the only one by her that I've read so far that I just didn't really like. Okie dokie. For our last one, we have Ward D, and we are following Amy, who is a medical student, and she is dreading having to spend her first night shift on the locked psychiatric ward. As the night goes on, things are getting weird, people are going missing, and Amy is certain that she is in danger. This one lives rent-free. I still think of the epilogue, and that's something I've noticed with Freida McFadden is she tends to have these crazy twists in the epilogue that make you totally rethink everything that you just read, and I just absolutely love it. So for that one, definitely lives rent-free. Alrighty, so there is our final lineup of all the books that I have read by Freida McFadden. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Have you read any of the books that I talked about today? If so, let me know what your opinions are on them in the comments below. While you're down there, also let me know if you've read any books by Freida McFadden that I hadn't talked about today. You guys know I'm always looking to build up my TBR. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.